You're watching the Adrian Bauer Project. Hello. Many thanks for choosing to click my thumbnail and to watch my content. Very much appreciated as always. And as always, a massive thank you to my new subscribers as well. We're slowly creeping up to the 600 mark, which, I thought, I wasn't going to get to. But there we go. So I must be doing something that people obviously like. So as you see from the thumbnail, it's vlog number 2 for the Motorhead Bomber build by Airfix. So let's, before we get any further, let's show you how far we've got, and then we can talk about build processes and my thoughts on it. So here we go. This is as far as I've got so far. If you follow me on Facebook, you'll have seen the photos where I painted the cockpit in the interior cockpit green. Because like I said before, the instructions were said to do it a dark grey, and I thought dark grey, you're not going to see absolutely anything inside, especially the figures, and I want to give myself as much opportunity as I can to be able to see figures inside, if nothing else. That's why I haven't gone to town with weathering. I've just painted it, like I say, the cockpit green, and then I get a quick dry brush with some silver, because at the end of the day, these windows are very small, and you're not going to see inside. Plus, as well, when we come to it, all this here is going to be filled in, so any of the windows that are going to be on there that you could have seen inside, you're not going to see. Plus the turret on the top, I think we're going to have it in, probably have it in the closed position. You can have it open or closed. So again, you're not going to see anything in there. And you can see, I'm trying to keep my hands very still for you because I've got shaky hands. That's all I've done on the inside. There is a decal that you put on the inside wall there behind the co-pilot's chair, and it's really that small. I put it on anyway, but if you dash it off, nobody would know. It is just tiny, and all the detail on it, I needed a magnifying glass just to see what the detail was. So it's up to you whether you want to put it in or not. Now, I have seen people build this kit and they've gone to town putting wiring in and highlighting, and then the washers and all this. And if you want to do that, fantastic, it's your model, you do what you want with it. But to me, that's just one big massive waste of time, effort and resources, because as soon as you put two fuselage halves together, you ain't going to see it ever again. So, but it's there, obviously. So anyway, that's as far as we've got. I'll put my glasses on because I'm as blind as a bat without them. So as you can see, we've got as far as section number 12. So right, so this is what I'm going to say about this build. Now, I've been building it step by step. 1, 2, 3, 4, as it says in the instructions. However, what I did find when it comes to the cockpit detail, if I'd have known this before, I'd have done it the way I'm going to tell you now. I do have this kit for just the normal Luftwaffe version, so when I come to build that kit, it's the same kit. So when I come to build that one, I'm going to be doing it this way. So, okay, I'd say do part number 1. Okay, yeah. Then where it comes to section number 2, where you've got part B4, I'd leave that off, and I'll tell you why. So you can leave part 4 off, then you can continue doing all the other sides up to there. Then it comes, that's just comes to doing that bit there, but hold your horses because you haven't put that part in. part B4. And this is why I'd leave it off, because here on sections 8, 9 and 11, you're making up the interior of the cockpit. Now these locate onto the back wall, and especially when it comes to this bit here, if you're trying to build it as it says in that section there, you're going to give yourself major headache. It is a pain in the arse. So what I suggest you do is you build up sections 8 and 9, then I'd put them onto that back wall, which is your part part B4, and then instead of building section 11 like that, put these sections there onto the wall, because that there, you've got a little tab there that slips into a hole on the back of the wall. That bit there has got a slot that goes onto the floor, which is that bit there. And it's going to be a lot easier if you put those two parts on to the wall and the floor as they are, because trying to make that up as a section, you're onto a loser. Honest to God, you're onto a loser. You've got to get the angles right as well. So what I suggest is putting that part there, instead of building it and then putting it onto that back wall there, I'd do it as I've just said. It's going to make life a lot easier, and then you can paint it a lot easier. Then when you've painted it, then fit it into the fuselage half, and then you can close the fuselage halves together. And like I say, that there, it's all this section here, little fiddly bits, especially the rudder pedals. The rudder pedals will have you pulling your hair out, because the locating pins are very slight. So what I suggest there is dab a glue into that shallow hole, just leave it a few seconds so it goes tacky, then put your rudder pedal on, get it into position, excuse me, using tweezers or just the end of your scalpel, and then get some Tamiya extra thin and set it like that, and then just leave it alone. Don't go fiddling with it, because just let it all dry, or you're just going to knock it off, and it's an absolute nightmare. So that's how I'm going to do it next time. But I followed the instructions, sort of knew what was going off when I got to that bit, and that's when I actually glued those bits onto the back wall before I put the chair in. But that made painting difficult. So do it how I've just described it. I think you can save yourself a lot of bother. So as we can see, what I've got to do now, I'll be putting Tamiya tape along the edges of that seam, then putting my filler on top, and then sanding it. Doing it that way, you're not getting filler all over the top of the model. I see modelers online, and they come to getting rid of this seam here, and they're slapping it on, and then they've got to sand it all off, and it's an absolute mess. Put it on top of your tape. Then when it comes to the sanding, you're sanding it down, and by the time you've come down to where the tape is, that's when you can take the tape off and then do extra little swipes and do it then. You're not destroying any of the detail. Then all you have to do is probably just put your panel lines across there, and again, that saves you a lot of work. Okay, right, so coming to the bottom wing root. Now, if you can remember what I said in vlog 1, if you've watched vlog 1, is on the real aircraft, the bomb release mechanisms are underneath the aircraft, just there. And on Joe Paterno's diagram, he's put his at the bottom of the wing roots, which are more or less just, I think it's going to be about there. So you had, let's have a look if we can find the drawing on here. So if you look at the drawing there, what you got there were holes. Now I think this is for another version, because you do get a Bombay included with this kit that you're not going to use, because the bombs for the H6 were on the outside, and it's the torpedo version as well. So the Bombay isn't used. So I thought, oh, I've got these holes here, I'm going to have to fill them in. I'm going to get some, plastic card, and I'm going to just have to scratch build and just fill it in, just so we've got it on here. But hold fire. Because I've noticed they've got this Bombay that we are not using, I also noticed we've got two Bombay covers there. So if you're following my build and you're doing the build how I'm doing it, trying to get it picture accurate, and you're dreading the thought of having to get plastic card in and cutting it to size and cutting it to shape, don't worry, because if you look on your B frame, parts B13 and B14, which you are not using on this build, go in there. So let me just see if I can, there you go, that's where they are. Now the gaps there, I think I might have to put a bit of filler in, because I think those gaps are a bit too wide, but I'll leave it sort of like a panel line and just fill them a little bit, just so they're not as pronounced. So that has saved me one major headache. And like I say, if you're trying to do yours picture accurate as well, there you go, because it's parts that are not used in this kit. As for the Heinkel AT111 H6 kit, you're not going to be using those. So just have a look on your B sprue for parts 13 and 14, and there you go, Bob's your uncle, that's filled those in. So that's saved me a major headache. Right, okay. So that's as far as I've got. Like I say, next up, I've got to just get rid of these seam lines there. Just, work on those lines around where the Bombay covers are. Get those filled. And then I'm going to be cracking on to Fast Eddie and Lemmy. Now, in this build, you've got two pilots. One goes on the pilot's chair there, obviously, and then you've got a co-pilot's chair there. The pilot there, that is Fast Eddie's side, so Fast Eddie will be going on there. Now, Lemmy, as you can see, is in the nose cone. He's firing the machine gun, so he'll be laid on there. Now, I do have another old Heinkel 111 kit. I can't remember. I can't remember which version it was. I might put it across there when I find out. So, but in that kit, they had two figures that were laying down, the machine guns. So I've took those two figures out of there, which, because it's a really old kit, I think it's a 70s, 80s kit, the figures aren't great. So what I've done on there, I'm going to use those. I've got rid of the seam lines that's on top and all the way around. I've cut the head off because I'm going to be using the head from the pilot in this kit, because in the old kit they've got oxygen masks on. You can't see any facial features at all. In this kit you've got facial features. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be sanding down the heads on these to get rid of the flying helmets, then using milliput, I'm going to be trying to fashion hair on them, long hair, for both Fast Eddie, and then the Lemmy head will be cut off of that figure, put onto the other figure that I've got, and then I'll be fashioning his hair. How much you're going to see these in the finished build, I don't know, but I'm going to give it a go. I'll give it a go. So there we go. So that's as far as we've got this time. So it's probably going to be a lot of effing and jeffing when it comes to trying to do these two figures. They won't be painted in Luftwaffe uniform colours. The jacket will be black for a leather jacket. They're going to be having denim blue jeans on. The boots will be black. Whether I do it all the way up there, I don't know. Probably won't. I'll just sand them down a little so the boots aren't looking like they're going up the top of the leg. And then after that, I can start on doing the wheelbase. Now the wheelbase, it's telling you to paint all the interiors. because I'm having this in flight mode, let's just see where that is. So move forward to section 40 because we're having it in flight mode. The wheel covers are going to be put on. You're not going to see inside of there, so I ain't going to be wasting time, paint and effort painting inside because you ain't going to see it. Okay, but that's not getting too far ahead with itself, so that's going to be our next little journey. So if you follow me on Facebook, I'll show you how I'm getting on doing the Eddie and Lemmy figures. Don't worry, I haven't forgot about the Phil Taylor figure. I've just got to figure out everything with the ball turret and its positioning and how much room is going to be in it before I even think about doing Phil Taylor's figure in there. So that's, have a look on Facebook, follow me on there so you can see what I'm doing on there. So the next video we have up, hopefully I'm going to have the figures all done and in place and possibly the wings on, but we'll see how far we get with that. So there we go. Hope you enjoyed that. I hope you, those of you who've got this kit in the stash, whether it's this kit or the Luftwaffe version, you know, got a little bit of information about building it, building the cockpit. So like I say, just wait till you've got all the cockpit detail interior glued onto that back wall before you put it in. It's going to make it a lot easier for you. So there we go. So many thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Many thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe to my channel and to ring the little notification bell.